Welcome back to Steel City Sports. So today we're ranking the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL. So if you didn't see my quarterback ranking series, I'll explain my criteria again. And that's not that we're comparing the stats one-to-one, like, oh, this guy had more yards, well, this guy had more touchdowns. No, I think if we just compare the stats, that's kind of dry and boring. I want to do this based on going into next year. If I want to win the Super Bowl, what guy do I want on my team? So that's how I did this list. Basically, just think of it in a way if all these players were available, just freely open on the market for next year. This is the order in which I would take them. So let's get into it now. And first off, with our honorable mentions, there were about 20 guys that I wrote down when I started doing this list. However, if I mentioned all of them, it would be too long, so I just went with 3 honorable mentions. The first one being Keenan Allen, who was the closest to making the actual top 10, had a monstrous year, especially with his second option, Mike Williams, being out, so that allowed for more double coverages on Keenan Allen. He's still just a pure production machine. I just think the guy I have at 10 is a little more stable, but Keenan Allen is incredible and is one of the most consistent receivers in the NFL. Puka Nacua, as a rookie, broke the record for most yards by a rookie receiver. That's incredible right there. Had the most yards for a rookie in a playoff game. Is easily already one of the most productive receivers, and I think is going to easily make the top 10 next year. And our last one is Amari Cooper. I feel like he's one of the more underrated receivers around the league, especially since he's been in Cleveland. It feels like he's been forgotten, but again, similar to what I said with Keenan Allen, he's one of the most consistent guys. It doesn't really matter who's throwing him the ball. You know, he's had however many different quarterbacks in his career, and he's produced with all of them, specifically Flacco. He was incredible and had the best game of his career this year with Joe Flacco. At number 10, we have Mike Evans, the model of consistency in the NFL. I believe he's the only player in the history of the NFL to have over 1,000 yards in the first 10 seasons of his career. So he's clearly already a Hall of Famer, first ballot, has a Super Bowl championship. And it doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. You know, He's had a lot of different quarterbacks that play different styles, and it doesn't matter. He always seems to find a getaway open, and he's one of the most physically dominant players at the position as well. At number 9, we have Deebo Samuel, who is the second most unique offensive weapon in the NFL. Just so happens the guy I have at number 1 in that category is his teammate Christian McCaffrey. But at the wide receiver position, I don't think we've ever seen a more versatile player in his ability to impact the run game and the pass game. This guy can trudge for 60 yards easily. He seems basically untackleable, and he's the best yards after catch receiver in the NFL. At number 8, we have A.J. Brown, one of the most complete wide receivers in the NFL for his deep ball ability, his technical route running, and his just pure physicality. You mean, the guy idolized Julio Jones. You can kind of tell by his play style when he just trucks people over. I mean, he has a little bit of that diva streak in him, which this is definitely the position that produces that, but I'm willing to overlook that whenever you're just able to dominate. And A.J. Brown has been that. Him and Jalen Hurts, since they've gotten together, have been one of the best 1-2 connections in the NFL, and A.J. Brown has single-handedly won the Eagles games. At number 7, we have Stefan Diggs, who's still one of the best deep threat targets in the entire league. However, he's not like top 3 or 5 like I had for a long time. You know, ever since he got to Buffalo, I've usually had him in either my top 3 or top 5 receivers in the NFL. I think he has slid a little. We started to see some cracks in the foundation this year for Stefan Diggs. And I'm not talking about the locker room stuff. I don't care about that for the terms of this video. Just in terms of his play, his hands did not look the same. The thing that made Stefan Diggs, and still made him a superstar, the fact that the reason why he was a top 3 receiver for so long, was his ability to reliably catch those big 50-yard bombs from Josh Allen. That's what made the Bills look so explosive. And I feel like he's just missed a step in that, whether it's his speed or his hands. You go back to that playoff game against the Chiefs. Obviously, no one play costed them the game, but that was a big drop, and he's done that several times throughout the year. He kind of went cold towards the end of the year and in the playoffs, so he's now 30. He's starting to decline a little bit, but I still consider him one of the best in the league. At number 6, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's one of the biggest reasons why the Detroit Lions have become a pure offensive juggernaut. This guy is a big-time playmaker. And again, he's just one of the most versatile players as well at the position. When you combine the route running ability with the deep ball threat, this guy is an absolute stud, and he's still young. I still think he's easily going to climb up into the top 5, maybe even top 3 in the next couple of years. Kicking off the top 5 is Devonte Adams, who I feel like has been kind of forgotten when it comes to these discussions about top-tier elite receivers. And that's because he's been rotting and wasting away on the purgatory that is the Raiders the past 2 seasons. But I still think when it comes to that physical style of play, there's not a more unstoppable force in the red zone than Devonte Adams. And on top of that, you have an elite route runner. If you didn't see my video yesterday, it was talking about stars that I want on a new team. Devonte Adams is clearly one of those guys because he's just too talented to be wasting away on that team. I do believe he is still a generational level talent at the receiver position. At number 4, we have CeeDee Lamb, and I think one of my best takes going into the year was my CeeDee Lamb take, where I was like, he's going to go from a good, Pro Bowl solid level player to a household name, to legit one of the best players in the league at his position. And that was right, because he was at an all-pro level this year. We had talked about always open. I feel like that was CeeDee Lamb. The game plan of the Cowboys was throw the ball to CeeDee, and every team they played knew that was the game plan, yet they still couldn't cover him. He's an absolute monster. At number 3, we have Jamar Chase, one of the most complete players to ever play the position. He walked into the NFL already a top 5 wide receiver, cracked 1,400 yards as a rookie, and went to the Super Bowl. I feel like he's only added to his game since then. You talk about speed, you talk about versatility, you talk about the route running, you talk about the physicality. This guy has everything you could possibly want at the wide receiver position. And this year, didn't miss a beat when his franchise quarterback, Joe Burrow, went down. Jake Browning came in, and he didn't miss a beat because he's that good. It doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. He's that talented. At number 2, we have Justin Jefferson. Take everything I just said about his LSU teammate, Jamar Chase, and apply that to Justin Jefferson. I think from a talent perspective, I think he's already one of the best receivers to ever play the game. Not from a resume standpoint. He obviously has a lot to go in terms of that, but just from a talent perspective, Justin Jefferson does everything you want at the receiver position at an elite level. He's one of the most skilled at just everything when it comes to playing the receiver position. And going into the season was widely regarded as the best receiver in football for a reason. And the best wide receiver in the NFL right now, according to me, is Tyreek Hill. I don't think there's a more unfair, unguardable player at the wide receiver position right now than this guy. He literally tilts the field downwards for any offense he's playing for, played with Patrick Mahomes, and then left. And it seems like he's gotten even better since leaving the Chiefs and made Tua look really good in some spots. And I think had Tyreek not gotten injured this year, I think he legitimately would have cracked that 2,000-yard mark, because you look at the games he was having this year are mind-blowing how productive he was. He's always open. Similar to what I said about CeeDee. Everybody knows they're throwing the ball to him. Everybody knows the ball's going to Tyreek. The game plan is to get the ball to Tyreek, and he's still just shredding defenses. So that has been my ranking of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL. Go ahead and drop your list down in the comments. Please like and subscribe.